so in love with you.
Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. And as you guessed, this video is going to be bonkers. Today's video is going to be on what is a housing market bubble and are we in one? And the reason for this video is there seems to be a lot of different definitions and a lot of different opinions basically on what a housing bubble is. A lot of people have told me that we can't possibly be in a housing bubble because of the lack of inventory and the lack of supplies. But I would argue, as would other people, that the reason why we're actually, one of the primary reasons that we're actually in a housing market bubble is because of the low inventory. And the low inventory is essentially only fueling the bubble. That topped with fear of missing out. You cannot underestimate the emotion in the market right now, the emotion of fear actually driving the market and driving prices up. That topped with cheap and easy to get money are the primary reasons that I believe that we are currently in a housing market bubble. And today what we're going to do is we're going to really dive into an article by USA Today called "What is a Housing Bubble? Answering Your Questions as Housing Market Spikes." Pretty appropriate article, right? But I really wanted to give back to a lot of my subscribers and a lot of my viewers to get the actual definition of a housing bubble and to really dig in just to see if we're even in a housing market bubble right now. Now, obviously, you guys already know that I believe that we are. And I believe that right now it's super duper important to kind of pause, let the emotions leave the market, and essentially just prepare ourselves for the downturn. I'm not asking people to be, in fear, to live in fear, or to be paralyzed in fear. It's actually the opposite of that. I'm trying to enlighten you guys so that we can make a plan and succeed together. But as always, guys, this is just my opinion. I'm an opinion sharer. I am not a financial advisor. I am a realtor in Houston and I am a loan officer in the state of Texas. So I do have a little bit of special insight, but nevertheless, I'm only sharing with you my opinion. Now, essentially, kind of the scientific term, if you will, of a housing market bubble is essentially massive surge in equity growth that are kind of unhinged from economic fundamentals, okay, which is essentially what we have going on here. And I would say that it's even worse. And one of the major problems outside of the lack of inventory is the great fear that we have in this housing market. And I'm afraid that until that fear and that fear of missing out stops, things are just going to get worse and the bubble is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But let's jump into the article right now. All right, guys, so this is a continuation of the article on USA Today, which will be in my description below, so you guys can reference this article yourself, okay? Now, here's the key points that this article is really focusing on. Now, number one, house prices can be out of sync with market fundamentals when there is widespread belief that the current robust price increase will continue, that fear of missing out. An analysis by housing giant Freddie Mac suggests that the housing shortage has increased 52% from 2.5 million in 2008 to 3.8 million in 2020. So we have a housing shortage. In the past 1 month, mortgage rates have continued moving upward in the face of rapidly rising inflation, as well as the prospect of strong demand for goods and ongoing supply disruptions. America's real estate market may be showing signs of a housing bubble as prices become unhinged from fundamentals, according to the authors of a blog post published by Dallas Federal Reserve Bank. That's a big time player that is essentially warning of a housing bubble. It goes on. Housing prices can fall out of sync with market fundamentals like supply and demand when there is widespread belief that prices will keep climbing. If many buyers share this belief, purchasing arises from a fear of missing out. It can drive up prices and heighten expectations of strong house price gains, according to the researchers. The exuberant expectations driven gains in home prices could have many consequences, such as bankruptcies, broad effects on growth and employment, and distorted investment patterns, the researcher warned. Monitoring the housing market for the emergence of such price booms can help investors and policymakers respond before an economic crisis erupts. Now, you guys, I would really take this seriously because these are people coming from the Federal Reserve banks. These are people that are clearly giving us warnings right now for investors or potential homeowners. So the writing's on the wall. Now, obviously, the whole market is being, the whole housing bubble is being fueled by the lack of inventory and being fueled by that fear. You guys cannot underestimate the power of fear. It is so deadly. It is so destructive and crippling. And I believe that's a lot of what we're seeing right now. Now let's go back to the article and let's keep digging in. Okay, so this section, what does a housing bubble mean? A housing bubble is a period marked by unusual spike in housing prices fueled by high demand and low supply, speculation by investors, and exuberant spending. These bubbles are caused by a variety of factors, including rising economic prosperity, low interest rates, more mortgage product offerings, offering an easy to access credit, like these fake cash deals. The low supply of homes is largely a result of underbidding, experts say. Now, can you guys see why I'm always like, we need these new home builders so bad? I know there's a lot of things that is essentially crushing demand, but until we get new home builders building more inventory and kind of taking those risks, because it's risky for home builders to start projects, we're going to be, this housing bubble may continue to get worse and worse and worse before it starts to deflate. So we really need home builders here for obvious reasons. Now let's continue on. How does a housing market bubble bust or end? It ends when demand decreases or stagnates because of higher mortgage rates or inflation eating into savings, while at the same time supply realigns with demand when construction catches up. And that can result in a sharp drop in prices, popping the bubble. In the past month, mortgage rates have been rising in the face of rapidly rising inflation, as well as the prospect of strong demand for goods and supplies. It goes on. A 30-year fixed rate mortgage topped 4% on March 17th for the first time since May of 2019, according to Freddie Mac. Now, you guys, essentially, this is really what I'm warning you about. Now, remember, in 2008, I lost roughly $300,000 in the home purchase I made, which ultimately trapped me in my house, and I could no longer afford my mortgage payment because I lost a job. So with the inability to sell my house, I essentially led to a foreclosure, which took me probably 10 years to get my credit worthiness back and basically the freedom that I have now. So essentially what I'm trying to tell you guys is be very, very careful. You see all of these signs on the wall. And not only that, there are economics, there are professionals essentially warning that if the bubble pops, more than likely it's going to be a sharp decline in prices. And the bigger the bubble grows, the harder it will collapse and pop. Think about those things. Let's continue on the article right now. How does the housing bubble affect the economy? Real estate and the housing market play an important role in the U.S. economy. At the individual level, roughly 65% of occupied housing units are owner-occupied, according to a Congressional Research Service. Homes are often a substantial source of household wealth in the U.S., and housing construction provides widespread employment. Housing prices can affect residential investment and therefore affect economic growth. Rising home prices can encourage additional construction spending when the prices are high, leading to more robust economic growth. A decline in housing prices is likely to depress construction spending, leading to more anemic economic growth. An increase in housing value encourages homeowners to spend more than they do at other times for a variety of reasons, including higher confidence in the economy, increased home equity for homeowners to borrow against, and higher rental income. A decrease in prices results in the opposite. In the United States, consumer spending makes up roughly 70% of the economy. So changes in housing wealth can result in significant changes in economic growth. You guys, essentially what this is saying is that if we do and when we do have a bubble burst, it is going to be horrible for the economy. And what I believe is going to happen is it will make any possible recessions even worse, possibly even a depression. Now, I've estimated and I've shared my opinion with you guys that I believe a recession is going to happen before a bubble pop. I believe the recession is going to be one of the leading factors of actually a bubble pop for the housing market, which will in turn make a recession potentially worse. Why am I telling you things? So that you can prepare accordingly. Don't be afraid. Face it. Prepare for it. That's my points here. Let's continue on. Here's the last part of the article. Are we in a housing bubble? The Dallas Fed researchers say that we are observing abnormal U.S. housing market behavior for the first time since the boom of the early 2000s. You guys, this is not just me or other YouTubers saying this. These are really, really intelligent people that are predicting, that are basically acknowledging that there's probably a housing market bubble going on right now, and we probably should be doing something about it. Although I don't know how much is being done about it or how much can be done about it. But what I really want you guys to do is I want you to pause this video right now and comment on it. Let me know if you guys think that we are in a housing bubble and why, or let me know if you think the reason why we're not in a housing bubble. Either way, pause this video, comment right now, and let me know your thoughts. Now let's continue with the end of the article. Their reasons for concern include the price to rent ratio, which compares the economics of buying versus renting in particular, and the price to income ratio between the price of median home to that of the median annual household income in a particular area, which shows signs that 2021 house prices appear increasingly out of step with fundamentals. Along with low mortgage rates, other factors that drive up prices include a surge in disposable income because of a pandemic-related stimulus and reduced household spending because of mobility restrictions and lockdowns or inflation. If disposable income increases turn out to be temporary as fiscal stimulus wanes and the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, it would be put downward pressure on home prices. However, based on current evidence, any coming housing correction will not be as dire as the 2007 to 2009 global financial crisis in terms of magnitude, the researchers say. In the years before 2008, mortgage lenders made subprime loans to borrowers without verified income or adequate down payments while pushing risky loan products. This time, tough loan underwriting standards are the norm, even with rock bottom interest rates, experts say. Among other things, household balance sheets appear to be in better shape, and excessive borrowing doesn't appear to be fueling the housing market boom, according to the Post. So the article kind of ends on some really good points. It's not like 2007 to 2009 as a result specifically not of getting cheap and easy money. Just like 2008, we got cheap and easy money during 2020 and 2021 in the form of stimulus and rock bottom interest rates. So actually, this market is similar to 2008, but specifically what it's specifying is the lending restrictions. Currently, the lending restrictions are super tight. However, I'm seeing these fake all cash offers going to the market. So there are more creative lending programs, but I believe this is spot on as far as with the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act and qualified mortgages being written into law. So that's the problem, you guys. I believe that as a result of these, safeguards or the result of these assumptions, I kind of believe the housing market bubble is actually getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more that it goes on, the more damaging it will be when it busts. Now, I've anticipated that the bust will start to happen the fourth quarter of 2022. Now, again, that's just my opinion. I don't know that for sure, but based on what I'm saying, based on my heart, based on just searching my soul, that's really what I think, because I really feel like we're, unlike this article, I kind of feel like in many ways, not always, but in many ways, our current housing market is actually worse than 2008. Now, remember what I think is fueling this housing market, okay? Number one, the lack of inventory. That's actually why I believe we're in a housing bubble. The lack of inventory. Number two, cheap, easy to get money. Just like in 2008, the stimulus gave so many people money. It was so cheap to get money. So that's number two. Now, number three, which can be even worse than the lack of inventory, is the emotion and also the fear. The emotion and fear is super powerful and it is super dangerous. So again, you guys, that's part of why I think these videos that I'm making need to exist. Don't be afraid. Be aware. When we're aware of certain things, we can plan accordingly. Now, here's the basically wrapping up my opinion. As always, guys, the number one thing that in my eyes we should start doing right now is loving our lives and loving our families. Now, if you're renting like I'm renting on the sidelines, I'm waiting to buy a house. I'm stacking my credit, so I'm working on my credit worthiness. I'm out of all consumer debt, which is super important. Plus, I'm making sure that I have many sources of income just in case we hit into a recession. And then also, we've rebudgeted. My wife and I have constantly rebudgeted our spending, and we're saving lots of money. So saving money, building credit, making sure we have proper sources of income. I really think that is one of the best things people could do right now, and basically hold out till the end of 2022 or into 2023. Like I've told you guys, I believe, in my opinion, 2023 is going to be some of the best times to purchase real estate again in the US. I've seen these things before. I've seen what a bubble pop looks like. I've felt it. I've lost. I don't want that to happen to you. Regardless, guys, if you're out there investing in real estate, I wish you luck and I hope you win.